My first guest joins me in studio, Mr. Byron Elton. He is the CEO of Carbon Sciences Incorporated, stock symbol CABN. Byron, good to see you again.
Good to see you, Don.
Now, we had you on last week over the phone announcing that we're reinitiating coverage of the company. We're very pleased to be talking to you once again. You've got a technology that you're concentrating on that basically can take natural gas, which you say is very abundant, and turn it into gasoline. You got to tell us about that.
Sure. Well, there's two things. We have a technology actually that's used to reform natural gas into syngas, which is used in the process. But the really cool thing about what we're doing and the recent announcement that we made is that these technologies, it's about a three-part process to turn natural gas into regular gasoline. These are known technologies. They've been used around the world for a long, long time. But we announced recently that we're putting it all together and building a plant here in the United States to take natural gas and turn it into gasoline that you can use in your car. This is important because we really believe that the future of our energy independence in this country is in natural gas. You know, it's ironic and inexplicable almost that here in this country we have more hydrocarbons, more fossil fuels than any country in the world. We're the Saudi Arabia of coal. We've got more natural gas than any country in the world, and lots of crude oil. And yet every single day we spend $1 billion to buy other people's crude oil. It's crazy. And we don't have to because of the resources that we have. So we really believe that, so we're not energy independent, and we should be. And the future of all this is in natural gas, and that's where we're playing.
You know, and we're buying all this oil from a lot of countries that hate us, just don't like us at all. Now, you mentioned you're building a plant here. You're working on building a plant here in the U.S. Now, what is the difference between some of the large-scale operations of companies like Shell and what you folks are proposing?
Good question. So Shell, for instance, has the largest GTL plant in the world in Qatar. And, matter of fact, has made the company Shell an already incredibly profitable company, even more so. The biggest difference is they make diesel. They make diesel fuel and other valuable products that you can make from crude or from natural gas. But the big difference will be is that the out product that we will have here is drop-in gasoline. So they're making diesel. If you drive a diesel car, most of the transportation, private transportation in this country is regular gasoline. That's what we'll be making. And there is no plant like that in the United States. Although Sasol and Shell have announced studies that they're doing in places that they're looking in Louisiana to do exactly that.
And we're talking about regular gasoline, the same gasoline we're buying at gas pumps. I mean, you know, you're not going to have to worry about an entirely new infrastructure of gas stations and that type of thing to supply or to distribute what you could supply.
That's exactly right. And that's a huge point because there are people like, for instance, Pickens down in Oklahoma, who have been out preaching, and rightfully so, the need to be using natural gas for our transportation sector. But what they're making is CNG, compressed natural gas, which means everything has to be swapped out. You know, your engines, your cars, your distribution system, everything. The real key to this is making real gasoline, and you can do it. So you get methane from natural gas, which you can turn into syngas. You take the syngas, there's a proven technology that turns into methanol, which is a fuel, and that methanol can be turned into gasoline. So to your point, whatever you drove to work today, you can take this gasoline, put it in there, and you can drive it away. And that's a huge advantage over other solutions that are being talked about out there.
The company is Carbon Sciences. Their stock symbol CABN. We're chatting with their CEO, Byron Elton. Now, Byron, I understand that the gasoline created from your process is actually much cleaner than what is created from the fossil fuels.
Well, natural gas is a fossil fuel, but certainly cleaner than gas that you make out of crude oil. From the very beginning, it's about 30% cleaner. And so, yes, the entire process actually becomes a much a lower carbon footprint from that standpoint. So somebody once described crude oil as expensive, dirty, and theirs. And natural gas is affordable, it's cleaner, and it's ours. And we've got unbelievable amounts of it. It's ridiculous that we don't use it. And so that's what Carbon Sciences is about to do, and that was the genesis of our recent announcement.
Now, I noticed at your website, which, by the way, is carbonsciences.com, it says that your process can create gasoline for about $1 a gallon. Tell us about that.
So our internal studies and the information that we got from the Department of Energy suggests that this three-part process, capturing the natural gas, taking the methane, making syngas, turning the syngas into methanol, turning the methanol into gas, is about $1 a gallon. So now that's, by the time it gets to the pump and you pay for it, it's going to be more than that, but certainly very, very competitive with the gasoline that we're using now. As a matter of fact, we think very, very competitive. But if you think about what gas costs us today, we really pay for our gas on April 15th.
Right.
Because if you think about all the stuff that goes into protecting those tankers in the Strait of, all around the world to bring us all this, to be able to use our natural resources, create jobs here in the United States, taking a cleaner product at the outset and providing all of our transportation deals, it's a win-win-win-win situation for everybody.
Carbon Sciences, CABN, is their stock symbol. Brian, this is really fascinating. Why is this a good time right now for folks to take a closer look at your company?
Well, because energy demands have never been higher. And the cry to be energy independent has never been more important to us. As you mentioned before, we send a lot of money to people who don't necessarily have our best interests at heart. And so the ability to control that, to create jobs here in the United States, and to keep it all at home, there's never been a better time for it. We know we can do it, and we're going to do it. And so Carbon Sciences, in many ways, is leading the way on that sense and putting a domestic plant here in the United States.
Well, Byron, we're going to be following the company very closely between now and really going into first quarter of 2013. I really want to see some updates from you during that period of time, see how this process goes along. Thanks for joining us on the show.
Thank you for having me.